Lemon the Bug and the Magical Spring, a story about snowdrops, birds, and sunshine. One morning, the little puppy Lemon woke up very early. He stretched, yawned widely, and poked his round nose out from under his warm blanket. Something felt different. The air did not smell like winter anymore, not like cold snow. It smelled like wet earth, young grass, and warm sunshine. Mmm, mumbled Lemon. It feels like the world is different today. He ran to the window. The snow had almost melted. Small puddles sparkled on the path. The air was fresh and warm, and the sun shone like a real spring sun. Just then, clever Clementine the cat jumped slightly onto the fence. She was already sitting in the sunshine, warming her paws. Meow, Lemon, haven't you guessed yet? Guessed what? Asked Lemon in surprise. Clementine lifted her tail proudly and said, Spring has arrived. Lemon opened his eyes wide. The real spring? Yes, and it's everywhere already. Then we have to go see it. So the two friends went out into the garden together. Near the flower bed they saw their first wonder. There were already the first spring flowers. White snowdrops gently swayed on their thin stems. Next to them, blue crocuses were opening their petals. A little farther away grew yellow primroses, and near a small stone were tiny violets. They are so beautiful, whispered Lemon. This is only the beginning, said Clementine. Soon there will be tulips, daffodils, hyacinth, and daisies. And a little later, the sweet-smelling lilies of the valley will bloom. They smell so wonderful that the whole garden becomes magical. Lemon carefully sniffed a snowdrop. This smells like spring. Suddenly, cheerful singing filled the air. Chirp, chirp, tweet, tweet, chirp, chirp, tweet, tweet. On the apple tree branch sat several sparrows. They were hopping from branch to branch and arguing loudly. Nearby, a yellow-breasted titmouse began to sing. Her voice sounded like a tiny bell. Higher up, a starling was trying to sing even louder. Then suddenly, swallows flew over the garden. They darted quickly through the sky, drawing little curves in the air. Look, said Lemon, so many birds. And that's not all, said Clementine. Far above the field, high in the sky, a lark was singing. You could hardly see him, but his song sounded beautiful, as if the sky itself was happy about spring. Then from the bushes came the song of a nightingale. It was soft but very melodic. Lemon even sat down to listen carefully. He sings like he's telling a story, Lemon said. Just then they heard a sound from the old oak tree. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. What is it? Asked Lemon. That's a woodpecker, said Clementine. He's checking the tree, and he's happy that spring is here too. Then they walked to the small stream. The water sparkled in the sunlight and happily bubbled along. Near the bank grew the first dandelions. Their yellow heads looked like tiny suns. A little farther away, a bush of lilac was beginning to bloom. Its purple flowers smelled so sweet that Lemon closed his eyes. Oh, what a smell! That's lilac, said Clementine. In spring it makes the air sweet. About the flowers flew a fluffy bumblebee. Bzzz! Nearby butterflies fluttered. Yellow ones, white ones, and orange ones with black spots. They gently landed on the dandelions. Lemon lay down on the soft grass. The grass was still a little cool, but it was green and alive. He looked up at the sky. Fluffy white clouds were slowly drifting across it. Birds were singing. The breeze gently moved the branches. Clementine, meow. Now I understand what spring is. And what is it? Lemon began counting on his little paws. It's snowdrops and crocuses, violets and primroses, lilies of the valley and lilac, sparrows and titmice, larks and nightingales, swallows and even woodpeckers. Clementine smiled. And what else? Lemon thought for a moment. Then he said softly, Spring is when your heart feels very happy. Clementine lay down next to him. The sun gently warmed their backs. Birds were singing. The bumblebee buzzed about the flowers, and little Lemon whispered quietly, I love spring. Clementine purred, Me too. And the whole garden filled with quiet spring happiness. The end.